welcome to episode 96 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 19th of December. So you're all having a lovely festive season, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days. So today I have some knitting, sort of a bit of weaving, some spinning, some confessions, some blast from the past, and just some information in my shop, about my shop rather. So you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry and Facebook as Craft House Magic, and I have my own website, crafthousemagik.co.uk, where you can find the things that I sell in my shop, which include knitting accessories such as bags, hand-dyed yarn and knitting needles, etc. So we have the festive craft along going on at the moment in the Ravelry group, and there is so much lovely inspiration. I can hardly keep up with the thread, to be honest. There's some really nice projects in there, and I noticed that there's some cakes in there as well. So any sort of crafty related thing related to festive season, love to see what you've been making. So let's get on with the knitting. So first of all, I have sort of a cheat finished object to show you. So this is my Changing Staircases shawl, and I showed blocking out I think on either day 17 or day 18 of my Vlogmas videos, and it is a lovely shape. So the Changing Staircases shawl is by Tristan from Dragon Hoard Yarn, or from the Girls of the Yarn Cafe podcast. And the pattern is a free pattern, so that's really lovely and kind of her to do that. I did make a couple of changes, so once I got to about here I started to decrease an extra 2 stitches on each of these wedges, just so that it didn't ever get too wide, so I could make it as long as possible, because I like shawls to be quite long, you see. But that's really pretty, I think, that pattern, really clever. Simple but very clever, I think. And I'm using the colourway Hedwig, because Changing Staircases is the Harry Potter theme sort of thing, so Hedwig goes perfectly. And the yarn is actually by Once Upon a Corgi, and it was actually a little sock set which came with this as a mini, and I thought that that would finish it off nicely at the edge. So it's all nice and blocked, all finished and ready to wear. So I haven't worn it yet, and to be honest I haven't even sewn in the end, so I need to get round to that. But there we go. That's our cheat finished object, which I showed you last week anyway. Let's get on to the whips. So these socks I've been addicted to. Look at them. So at the moment they need heels. I haven't done the heels yet, but I knitted these so quickly. One, look at those colours, absolutely gorgeous. So they are Mud Punch, and they are in the classic Queen colourway, and it was sent to me by my lovely friend Peggy, who is from Carolina. Thank you, Peggy. Absolutely love these. She knows me very well, so I knitted them up straight away, and I stalled a little bit because I was unsure what to do with the heels, but now I think I know what I'm doing. So I think the yarn is actually a sport weight because of the meterage. I have 32 grams left, and I think that if I do the heels in the same yarn, with it being an afterthought heel, it'll sort of stripe like round the heel as I'm doing an afterthought heel. So I think that those will be finished up perfectly with the rest of this, and that'll be plenty, but I might have a little bit left, and I'll have to work out what to do with it because it's gorgeous and I can't waste a tiny little metre. So that's that project. Oh, I'm using basically I'm doing a sort of modification of my turning a sock tube into 4 pairs of socks, but what I've done is I've just done the cuff knitted down to where I thought I should introduce the toe, taking into account the length of the foot and the length of sock I wanted, and then I just started doing the toe decreases, so that means I only have to cut in the heels afterwards, and not have to do too much sort of cutting into the tube, because sometimes I don't really feel like cutting into the tube, but I don't mind doing afterthought heels. And because this is a beautiful stripy yarn, I didn't want to do a heel flap and gusset because of the width of the stripes. If it was a micro striping yarn, I quite like how that looks in a heel flap, but for stripes like this I like to do afterthought heels or short row heels. whichever, and do a contrast heel normally, but I think that'll look nice with the heel done in the same colour. I think it'll strike really nicely. Anyway, so we have another pair of socks on the needle. So I'd showed you this one before, and this is out of Regia Perfect yarn, and I finished the first sock a couple of weeks ago, I think, and then I didn't cast the second one on straight away because obviously I needed to cast on another pair of socks. But I have actually knitted this much since the last podcast. I am cheating a little bit. Mum's helping me knitting. She knitted some of this last night, so I did cheat a little bit. Our gauges aren't quite the same, but I think once it's blocked, I don't think you'll be able to tell at all. So with these Perfect socks, you take the yarn from the centre of the ball. It's looking a bit scruffy at the moment, actually. Well, I think they do when they've got most of the yarn used from it. So you take the yarn from the centre of the ball, and there's yellow to begin with, and you pull that all out, and then you cut it where the green is and then start knitting. So on the label, the cuff was quite thick, so I ended up actually using less of the green yarn before I started with the red, white and grey bit. So I did use less of the green, but apart from that I sort of stuck to the rules of using Perfect yarn. When you get to the green bit, which I just about have, after you've knitted the leg of the sock, when you get to the green bit you then start knitting the heel flap, or you can do a short row heel if you wanted to. Do that in the green, and then it turns back red, white and grey again, which is magic. You don't have to have loads of ends to sew in. So that's how it worked out. I did actually notice that there was a few rows of green after my heel flap before the colour started, but I don't mind that at all. So that just sort of makes sure that you don't end up going into the patterned yarn before you come out with your heel flap if you have a looser gauge or a larger heel. So nearly there. So hopefully by the next podcast they should be finished. To be honest, I need to get these finished by Christmas so Adam can wear them, because these are for Adam. Oh, I forgot to say about the second sock. So once you've knitted your first sock, it stops doing the coloured bit and it turns green, and I've started the toe decreases about there, and I finished the sock, and then I kept pulling out the green until I came to the yellow again, and then it basically goes in the same order of colour as the first sock. So I think they work quite nicely so far. I shall let you know how it goes when I finish the second sock. So I've been working on my weaving project, which I showed on last week's podcast. So I showed in Vlogmas videos how I'd been getting on, but I pop a clip up here so you can see how I'm getting on. But it's basically the same. I'm just doing the clasped weft weaving technique. I'm using some Knit Picks Hawthorn, and it's in the Selwood colourway, which I've had in my stash quite a while. And I did the warp with that, and I'm using that and just a plain undyed yarn out of my own bases that I sell in my shop, the merino nylon base to go with it, to do one side, which you'll be able to see in the picture. I think that's all I've got to say about it really. It's pretty straightforward. I showed on last week's podcast a little demonstration of me weaving it, so you'll know how I've done it. I don't think that my edges are perfect. I'm a little bit out of practice with my weaving technique, but I'm hoping that'll improve. And to be honest, it doesn't matter because I'm making them into cushion covers. The edges won't be seen, so it'll be fine. So now I have the spinning section. So I picked up my spinning wheel after quite a few months of non-spinning, which is dreadful really. So I'd done this bobbin ages ago. So I finished that, must have been July, August time I think. And then there was a little bit on this second bobbin which I finished off yesterday. So that's really lovely. You can see how I was lazy on moving along the bobbin there to make it distribute evenly. I'm sure it won't make any difference. So it's going to be a 2-ply yarn, and I'm hopefully going to get about a fingering weight. We shall see about that when I've actually plied it. Hopefully get a chance to ply that this evening. And if you're desperate to see how I get on, make sure you tune into Vlogmas. So there we go, that's what I've been spinning on. And this is a fleece that I picked up from You and Ply in Shrewsbury. Must have been last year, I think, or earlier this year. Could have been earlier this year, I can't remember. But it's spun up really nicely. I find that because it's got silk in it, it's nice to do quite a nice fine yarn, and I have no idea what I'm going to make with it in the end, which is very naughty. But I'm going to see how it looks. I'm trying to refine my technique of spinning a regular fine yarn, so, well, fine for me, so it's finger in weight 4 ply sort of thing. Anyway, right, that's my spinning, and I'm going to talk about a bit of sewing at the moment. Not that I've got anything finished. So I picked up some fabric from Minerva Crafts, and I have actually cut it out ready to use, and it's a navy base with some cream flowers on there, and it's a viscose twill fabric. And I have cut out the pieces to make a Silvia Robe, which is a sew over it pattern for my cousin for Christmas. And I need to get it finished by tomorrow because the last posting date for the UK for first class post is tomorrow. So I really need to get a move on with that. I'll pop a picture up here to show you what the Silvia Robe does look like. I have made one before. I'd been wearing one and my cousin said she really liked it, so I thought, well, I'll make her one for Christmas. So I'm hoping that'll get there before Christmas Day. So that's my short little bit of sewing section there. I'm going to talk about some confessions. So if you've been watching my Vlogmas videos, you'll know that I popped in to a fabric shop just by Norfolk Broads, which is it's actually in Houghton, but it's called Wroxham Barnes, which is weird because Wroxham is the other side of the river, but never mind, not the river, the Broad. So I bought these two lovely fabrics. I love these sort of colours, and I picked this up and I thought, well, that'll go in nicely with some of the other fabrics I've got to make things for the living room, and I thought that this would be nice and Christmassy. Don't know what I'm going to make with it yet, but sometimes you just need to buy little fat quarters because they make me happy. So it's called Broadly Patchwork and it's in Wroxham Barnes. I picked those up from. So I have had several lovely gift boxes sent to me, but I just wanted to show you sort of yarn related things. So my friend Sharon sent me this gorgeous tealy bluey yarn, and it's called Waterfall, and it's by Expression Fibre Arts. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't think I can knit this for a while because it just looks so pretty in the skein. Or hank, I should say. Oh, I love that. Absolutely lovely. I think I should just hang that in my living room because the colours would go perfectly. At least when the Christmas decorations are down. So Sharon also sent me an absolute ton of beautifully handmade things, which I'm not going to show you all again now, otherwise I'll have a really long episode. If you want to watch my Vlogmas videos, it was from day 18, I think, or 17. I'm losing track of days, but it's 17 or 18 anyway. So there we go. And I have a blast from the past to show you. And as it's the sort of Christmas special, I just thought I'd show you some Christmassy things that I made last year. So these two lovely little jumpers have been hanging on my Christmas tree, and they are a pattern called the Matchbox Sweater Project, and the pattern is by Anna Feldman and Jane Lithgow, and I bought this last year and I knitted them. I think I actually knitted them just after Christmas or during the Christmas period to go on the Christmas tree. Aren't they cute? There are two other patterns in the set as well, which has got one with some textured stitches on and one that's striped, so I'm going to have a go at that. But they are gorgeous, and I picked up these little coat hangers from eBay. If I can find the link, because I bought them last year, I will put them in the show notes, but they're really useful to hang them on the tree. But you could of course make them with a piece of wire, I suppose, but they're lovely. My favourite shape is this one, the raglan sleeves with the colour work on. I do like this one because of the beautiful intarsia star shape, but I'm not so keen on how bulky these sort of sleeves look, if you know what I mean, but they're still cute. So the yarn I used for this was Jameson and Smith and some scraps that I had left over, and this is an ideal little project to do that with. I could use some of my advent minis for those as well. So I think that's it. That's my blast from the past. I just have a quick bit of info on my shop update in that obviously because the last posting date for the UK is tomorrow, which is the 20th of December. If you order from sort of now on, you won't be guaranteed that you'll get your parcel by Christmas, I'm afraid. But what I am going to do is that over the Christmas period the shop will still be open and I'll be taking orders. It's just that they might not be shipped until just after Christmas, because I want to have a few days off to spend with family and friends and enjoy myself. Oh, and of course, have a bit of crafting. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I shall see you in the next episode. Merry Christmas, everybody!